everybody, and welcome to the Scott Show, This Day in History. We are going to be looking at what happened this day in history. Shocking that that's the name of the show, isn't it? Alright, so we are going to start in the year 1534. Henry VIII of England is recognized as the supreme head of the Church of England. In 1659, the assault on Copenhagen by Swedish forces is beaten back with heavy losses. In 1790, the Religious Society of Friends, also known as Quakers, they petitioned Congress for the abolition of slavery. In 1794, the first session of the United States Senate opens to the public. In 1812, we have Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry is accused of gerrymandering for the first time. Gerrymandering is when you draw the lines to make it easier for yourself to win an election. In 1826, the University College London is founded as University of London. We will move forward to the Civil War. In 1861, the U.S. House of Representatives unanimously passes a resolution guaranteeing... we got some fans here. I love that. They unanimously passed a resolution guaranteeing non-interference with slavery in any state, 1961. In 1861, that happened. In 1906, Pope Pius X publishes his new book. In 1919, Friedrich Ebert is elected President of Germany. 1929, the Kingdom of Italy and the Vatican sign the Lateran Treaty. A little bit about that Lateran Treaty. It was where the Vatican was given a whole bunch of money by the Italians because of Rome and the Papal States and just a whole bunch of other crap going on between the church and the state. And that's where the Vatican City became a country. In 1937, the Flint sit-down strike ends when General Motors recognizes the United Auto Workers Trade Union. In 1938, BBC Television produces its world's first ever science fiction television program, an adaptation of a section of a play called R.U.R., as coined the term robot. 1939, the Lockheed P-38 Lightning flies from California to New York in 7 hours and 2 minutes. 1943, General Dwight D. Eisenhower is selected to command the Allied armies in Europe. 1953, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, 10 years later, denies all appeals for clemency for Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, known as spies. They were spies to the country. 1953, the Soviet Union breaks off diplomatic relations to Israel. 1959, the Federation of Arab Emirates of the South, which later becomes South Yemen, is created as a protectorate of the United Kingdom. 1971, Cold War, 87 countries, including the United States, United Kingdom, and the Soviet Union signed the Seabed Arms Control Treaty, outlawing nuclear weapons on the ocean floor in international waters. It's interesting that we would even have to have conversations like that. In 1973, the first release of prisoners of war from Vietnam takes place. In 1978, censorship. China lifts its ban on works on Aristotle, William Shakespeare, and Henry Dickens. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution establishes an Islamic lead under the leadership of Ayatollah Khomeini. 1990, Nelson Mandela is released from prison outside Cape Town, South Africa, after 27 years of a political prisoner. 1990, also, Buster Douglas, a 42-1 underdog, knocks out Mike Tyson in 10 rounds in Tokyo to win boxing's world heavyweight title. Kind of an amazing deal there. 1997, the Discovery is launched in a mission to service the Hubble Space Telescope. 1999, great year by the way. Pluto crosses Neptune's orbit, ending a nearly 20-year period when it was closer to the Sun than the gas giant. Pluto is not expected to interact with Neptune's orbit for another 228 years. That's crazy. In 2006, then Vice President Dick Cheney shot his friend, Harry Weatherton, while participating in a quail hunt on a ranch in Riviera, Texas. Of course, it was an accident. In 2011, the Arab Spring, the first wave of the Egyptian revolution, culminates in the resignation of President Mubarak and the transfer of power to the Supreme Military Council after 18 days of protests. In 2013, the Vatican confirmed that Pope Benedict XVI would resign as Pope on February 28, 2016, as a result of his advanced age. Now, coming 5 years later now, we're being known that Pope Benedict is kind of getting himself ready for the ultimate pilgrimage, I think that was the term that was being used. As he's living in Italy still, he's still Pope Emeritus. Very interesting kind of story. Quite an interesting guy as well. Alright, we go to 2015. A university student was murdered as she resisted an attempt rape in Turkey, sparking nationwide protests and public outcry against harassment and violence against women. And in 2017, North Korea test fires a missile across the Sea of Japan. That happened last year. This day in history. That's how it works, folks. Alright, so we got a few births that we can highlight. I always like highlighting the popes. I have no idea why. But Pope Gregory the 14th was born this day, 1535. Moving a little bit forward to talk about George Washington. Apparently, it's his birthday today. And yeah, there's a little note on there. I kind of want to highlight that. They do say that it's other days as well, but I believe it is the 10th. So, just gonna go looking here. So there are other days. It's says it's the 22nd. So there's some confusion there. Darn Wikipedia. We'll find out for sure soon. Thomas Edison was born this day in history, 1847. John Fitzgerald, mayor of Boston, almost president of the United States, born this day in 1863. Max Bauer, he's a boxer and actor, born this day in history, 1909. Max Bauer Sr. Was the heavyweight champion of the world. Max Bauer Jr. From the Beverly Hillbillies. So, he also was, famous parent of and all-around cool guy. Ava Gabor from the show Green Acres, born this day in history, 1919. And we will find the oldest person still living today is Budja Patty, who was an American tennis player, born in 1924. Other people born this day in history include Lloyd Benson, who was the 69th Secretary of Treasury, also vice presidential candidate with Michael Dukakis back in 1988. Leslie Nielsen from just a lot of different shows, and I just totally had a mind freeze here. He was a detective, Frank Drebin, in a TV show. He was also in Airplane. The first one to get some points for me, so please let me know. Leslie Nielsen, funny dude. Mel Carnahan, 51st governor of Missouri, died in a plane crash a few years ago. Actually, 18 years ago. Holy goodness. But he was born this day in history. Tina Louise, happy birthday to Tina. Manuel Noriega, a Panama military leader, born this day in history. Burt Reynolds, born this day in history. As we go further down the list, we'll find Jeb Bush, born this day in history. He was almost president too. Tammy Baldwin, senator from the great state of Wisconsin. Sheryl Crow, happy birthday to Sheryl Crow. Happy birthday to Sarah Palin. I don't know if she could still see Russia from her house, but it is her birthday today. So there you go. Ken Shamrock, former Ultimate Fighter. Hernandez, happy birthday to Hernandez. Jennifer Aniston's birthday today. Lots of very popular people today. Kelly Rowland, happy birthday to Kelly. And as we go further down the list, we'll find that it is also Ben Mc... Oh, okay. Well, it's Ben's birthday today. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. Tyler Lautner, it's his birthday today as well. So that's really cool. And Georgia Foote. And Georgia is one of the newest actresses in a lot of British stuff, and she's just amazing. So there you go. Alright, and folks, in deaths that we highlight here on this day in history, Jerry Tarkanian, who was a coach for the UNLV Runnin' Rebels, one of the best. He died this day in history, 2015. Whitney Houston died this day in history in 2012. That's a very, very sad remembrance, but it did happen. And I think we'll stop there on that whole thing. It is Youth Day in Cameroon, National Foundation Day in Japan, Inventors Day in the United States, World Day of the Sick for the Roman Catholic Church, Armed Forces Day in Liberia, and it's 112th Day in the European Union. So that is this day in history. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon here on thescottshow.com.